go on to the next one, finding idle resources. Okay. So day-to-day operations, it's really easy for you guys to basically provision resources for VMs. New application, they're asking for resources. Click, click, click. You got storage, right? Now it's okay to have some in your idle pool for capacity demand. That's fine. However, it's not too efficient. You're going to be wasting valuable resources. It becomes very expensive over time, right? So this solution, we can easily search for inactive storage. There's actually a built-in tool that allows you to do this. And again, this is across all of your vCenters, right? So we're actually enhancing the power of your vCenters. We're consolidating all the data, putting them in a, it's kind of an overused word, or phrase, single pane of glass. Okay, so now we're looking at across all our vCenters and active storage and their statistics, the data stores, the folders involved, individual file names, the sizes, if there's ownership. Okay. What about our license count? Right? So when it comes to renewal, first question, of course, is what do we have? Are we using all those licenses? Where are they assigned? So we can get an updated license count, much the same way as we did for our inventory. So here we're seeing our keys for at a vCenter level, the names, the total, the number used, and so on. Okay. Let's talk about bottlenecks or things that creep up on you fast when you're not paying attention, right? They can quickly become performance bottlenecks. Say too many snapshots. Now, I looked it up in VMware best practices, recommends a maximum of 32 in a chain, but for best performance you're only supposed to have 2 or 3. Now, those snapshots, over time, they can grow in size. And also the storage location for those snapshots, you may run out of space, and of course, it's going to impact overall system performance. Let me show you a video how you can easily identify those snapshots. So you'll notice here we got our workspace. I actually scrolled down a little bit, and there's some related searches. So I'm going to click on VMware with 1 or more snapshots. So that's a built-in tool or related search. It will translate into a query. Okay, up on top there in that field, that query is created automatically for you, and the results table will show what it filtered on. Okay. And what about talk about plugins? What do you have installed in your servers? So you probably know this, but each installed extension or plugin requires resources, memory, CPU, right, on top of its initial resource requirements. So over time, those plugins will rob you of performance. If you don't need them, they're still there, right? What about making sure that your plugin set is uniform across all of your servers? You have that consistency across all your vCenters, right? Let me show you how we do that, how we determine that, or find plugins. There's a tool that you can use to find your extensions that are registered across all your vCenters. You have the keys, the versions, and so on. Okay. So, but the whole idea is to make sure your data centers are running like well-oiled machines. identify, delete those performance robbing objects. Let's take on planning and optimization. So when you're going through planning and optimization exercises, you need to consider performance and efficiency. You need summarized visibility as well as trending stats of key metrics. Basically, you need to get that big picture of your entire infrastructure. For example, what's the overall health of your data centers? Are your data stores and host memory running at full capacity? Is it time to add more? Are your VMs optimized in terms of VM density for data store or host? What VMs are getting low on memory? Do you have any hotspots? Any trends and events reported from various object types that you can draw conclusions on? And again, I have a couple of related videos. So here, we're searching, providing you statistics across all of your data centers. Okay, data centers. We have listing of your compute resources, number of hosts, VMs, data stores, events, and so on. What are your OS types? Your VM guest OS types, data store types, vCenter version. What's the overall health of your infrastructure in terms of alarms, right? Alarms over time. VMs that issue or host with issues. Capacity in terms of data store capacity and utilization, host memory capacity and utilization, percent used, percent free in addition to your total. Optimization. What's your VM density per data store or per host? Powered state, powered on, powered off. Your event trending over time by category. Okay. Right. We also have another one that I want to show you. This is really a nice one. This actually can correlate different metrics over a given period of time. Say for the past day, we'll compare CPU ready and say network usage, and we'll create a graph of those metrics for whatever was in your results field. Okay, so you queried on some VMs, and you want to compare CPU ready to their network usage. Okay, you want to confirm maybe a slowdown. You thought it was a CPU problem, but now maybe it's a network issue. Okay. So as you saw, there are quite a number of metrics there that you can compare. What about time management? How are you spending your time when managing your virtual infrastructure? What's eating up your time? Say you have to configure a host. It takes 5 minutes. Now you have to repeat that for every single virtual machine in your infrastructure. Maybe there's 20 virtual machines. So 5 times 20, 100 minutes, right? An hour and a half, 2 hours. But then, of course, you're going to get interrupted during that time. So you're not going to get done. But just imagine, I'll show you that can be done with the built-in tools that we have. What about updating VM tools, right? What versions installed? Do you need upgrading? How do you upgrade them in mass? Who's using what, right? Who reserved what objects? Duplicate IPs. They can easily bring down any services in your infrastructure. Hard to track. Usually, you may be depending on static spreadsheets. Also takes time to resolve. Okay, so with this solution, you can make the impossible possible because that time is being taken away. Now let's take a look at the tools that we have in this solution. So we can run a query like before when we're viewing our results list. Right, in this case, a few virtual machines. And when those are listed, we actually have access to a toolbar in red here. Now, what's accessible to us are hyperterminals and typical, actions that you see in your vCenter, right? But now you can apply them across all your vCenters. Power off, suspend, reset, snapshot commands or tools, consolidate disk, upgrade VMware tools. Okay. Also, how do you find the objects you want to apply these actions on? I already showed you being able to, modify the query just by clicking on related searches and so on. But there's actually a great built-in tool that you can use. It's called hyperlink generated queries. Let me show you how that looks like. So here we have our search field, and I created that overall status green. Actually, let me back up a bit. I clicked on that field green, and it pops up. So I can do that for any field, any column, any field in this table. Powered off, I can even modify. I can backtrack a little bit, and instead of powered off, I can say powered on. I can manually modify that and then keep building on it. So I can create complex and or statements and so on. I can group them together, save them for future use. Okay, it's a great tool.